For the first time, an entire real estate sector in India, estimated at $125 billion or 8 lakh crore rupees, is transitioning to a regulatory environment. There are pain points everywhere. Even though the Central Act was cleared over a year ago, developers are grappling with the technicalities of RERA and applying for a registration in states which do have RERA rules and a regulator. Now, in states where there are still no rules, the industry is in a complete limbo. It is losing precious time for completing registration. The Ministry of Housing has clarified that the last date for registration will not be extended. So, come 31st July, no project without a RERA number will be allowed to be advertised or sold. On Urban Reality, we revisit RERA to find out the mood of the industry and ask three big questions. Has construction activity and new launches slowed down post 1st May? And that's an important question to be asked. Are large townships going to be affected the most under RERA is our second big question, because you must be reading in media that those are the people or developers which will have to recalibrate their projects. The third largest question, RERA was meant to bring back confidence. So has confidence of buyers, banks and investors increased since 1st May? Joining me for the discussion, Irfan Razack, CMD Prestige Group. Here from Delhi, Getamber Anand, promoter ATS Infrastructure Ltd. Malyapan Murli, MD Shriram Properties, joins us from Bangalore. Anuj Puri, Chairman JLL Residential Services from our Mumbai studio. Gentlemen, let's begin. Mr. Anand, let me start my first question with you. What is happening? I know that advertisements have stopped. Developers are saying, let me not err on the side of right or wrong. Let me just make sure that, even though I've got permission to advertise, but I will not do so till I can get a RERA registration. What's happening to construction, I want to understand.
So, Manisha, you see there's this grey cloud over us of uncertainty, this question mark. How do we register where there are no websites? Now, there are certain parts of the rules which certain states have taken out which are totally impractical.
Okay.
We cannot, for example, you see, it says, rules mostly say that when you go to convey a deed to a flat apartment owner, you have to register his apartment separate and the common area separate in favor of the RWA. Now, who's going to pay the stamp duty on behalf of the RWA?
That is a UP Act issue.
Well, I'm just quoting examples.
All right.
Number two, cost of construction can be, from the 70% you can take out land, whatever you paid for and the cost of construction. Now, what qualifies as the cost of construction? We must understand, Manisha, that we do not have enough liquidity to actually complete a project without leveraging. We have to take a loan.
Right.
So when you take a loan...
You mean to say it's still not clear?
No, it's not,
this was defined 1 year ago by the Central Act, saying that you have to keep 70% away
that's clear,
in a separate account.
No. What can you take out as cost? What qualifies as cost of construction? So you take a loan from a bank for construction.
Whatever you take from the buyer should be kept 70% separately.
No, but what do you use out of that 70% and for what all? So for cost of construction, even bank interest is a cost of the project. Salaries of people working on the project are a cost. So this should be defined and described in that act itself or the rules themselves, that these things qualify as construction cost, because they are. We cannot make a project without taking a bank loan. This because things being what they are today.
So you're saying practical difficulties. Hold your thought. Let me get other panelists to also comment on it. Anuj, you've got Mumbai was the first one to have an authority, to have a website, yet CREDAI recently did a conference, or actually a workshop, saying that we have real problems of registering, and the numbers are just not looking exciting of actually the developers who have gone and applied for a registration. Are we saying that despite this one whole year, states have not managed to get the fine print in order?
So, Manisha, it is true what Getamber is saying is that it is taking time for the rules to be formulated. There are several other questions that are coming up. In Mumbai particularly, when the societies are getting redeveloped, are the society members going to be deemed as co-developers? private equity investor who comes in at a land stage, is he going to be termed as a developer? The development management like Tata Housing, Godrej, Mahindra's, lots of them are doing it. Who is a co-developer in that? Is it the landowner or is it the development manager who's doing it? But you know, Manisha, my point is limited. Look at this as a transition phase. You know, let's talk about it, what is going to happen on the other side of the tunnel. And I just see is a beautiful picture on the other side of the tunnel. This is, as Getamber said, is going to be
Anuj,
difficult.
we are all waiting to see that beautiful picture, but for the moment, everything is stalled, is my big question. I mean, here we are, almost a month into RERA, and I'm not getting to hear anything from the industry which sounds very positive. Mr. Razack, this is an industry which is the second largest employer after agriculture. We are a country grappling with 1% growth in employment, and here you have an industry which has come to a standstill. What is happening? I mean, is construction really stalled at sites, or are you people saying, look, this is construction will go on, we will figure out, our issue is how to go and apply for a RERA registration? I want that answer, sir.
Manisha, see, this is a new law that has come in. Always while transitioning, there will be problems. There will be a lot of question marks. But having said that, I don't think construction can ever stall, because if the construction stalls, then we'll be getting into deeper problems with our customers and with the bill itself, because we've got commitments on timelines, and we definitely cannot afford for construction to stop for even a day. Now the question is, we have to manage our cash flows, we have to manage the entire environment, we have to make sure. Now see, look, from the states that, the southern states that we operate in, whether it's Tamil Nadu, whether it's Karnataka, whether it's Telangana, unfortunately we don't have the rules nor the regulator. Now 1 month is almost gone by.
Absolutely, that's a huge problem.
And now the thing is, we cannot launch new projects. Because if we do, we may be on the wrong side of the law, because the Act very clearly says that any new project to be launched has to be registered, and if there's no regulator to go and register your project, that is where the danger is. The governments need to now quickly make the rules, quickly need to notify these rules and make them sensible so that compliance becomes easy. Now the Act is a reality. Now there's no question of cribbing about it. There's no question of talking anything about it. It's there. It's there for us to accept it. It's there for us to see how we can comply with it. And the faster we do make up our mind that the compliance is the only way, that's the way ahead, I believe that's going to be the game changer. And there's no choice. Only thing is, now the way the problem is coming is the governments need to wake up. This is what we've been telling the authorities also. Listen, now you have to make
my sympathies are completely with all developers of states which do not even have final rules in place. And you've actually raised a very big issue, Mr. Murli. So you're saying, okay, we cannot delay construction of existing projects because we actually are under now a lens to complete them also in time. But new projects simply cannot be launched in states, and you operate largely in states which have no RERA rules. So is that the biggest fear today, that all new project launches have stopped?
See, Manisha, let's understand real estate is a over-regulated industry all these years. First time in the country, there is one proactive law which has come in favor of development, in favor of developers, in favor of consumers. Let's appreciate that.
Right, sir.
Despite there are few holes to be plugged in this RERA Act. Once that is plugged in, this is one of the finest proactive act which has come in the history of India so far. All these years we were struggling with unwanted laws which were regulating real estate. So let's appreciate that. This hiccup has to be addressed immediately. Again, wherever all the 4 states in southern India where we operate, today, the law is not, other than Andhra Pradesh, the law is not enacted. Once it's enacted, this will bring
How are you dealing with it? How are you dealing? So my question, Mr. Murli, my question to you is, you have now only 2 months left. So you literally lost, a month now. even if the rules come out in a week's time, you will have only 2 months. Are you saying that that's not a big issue? We have been gearing up for RERA, we had a central act to follow, and therefore registration in 60 days should not be an issue.
Registration in 60 days is an issue, but as Irfan was saying, there are few responsible developers in the country. We are well prepared today. In fact, we are prepared to that extent. The moment the act comes in, hopefully, the draft, whatever we are hearing about, if that is the case, in a week to 10 days time, we'll be in a position to register and start the activity. But you cannot penalize the industry who has been very, very responsible and responsive way it is reacting to whatever the law is coming in. So it is government responsibility to ensure that also act is coming in time. That's very, very critical. Yes,
absolutely.
It's an issue.
I agree. I'm with you.
Now,
and that's the reason why we are doing this show, that what is happening to the states which are still, I am shocked. I'm absolutely surprised that here you have a central act. You had a whole year to prepare and you still don't have rules in place, and it is going to become a problem because even if you have the rules in place, you're grappling, like you said, with technicalities, Getamber. So what happens where you don't have rules? So new projects not happening. Are you saying that? But they are, again, playing the devil's advocate when you had so much time, and Mr. Murli saying that good developers are ready to go and apply for registration in 8 to 10 days. I'm still not seeing those numbers happen in Maharashtra.
See, Manisha...
Or in UP. Both of you do have that act.
No. Where do you apply? You don't have a website. You don't have a regulator in place. So where do you apply?
Okay.
The danger today in this situation, where there's no time left, is the word quickly. You cannot quickly make the rules, because what they'll do is, and what they're doing in most states are doing, they just cut, copy, paste, and there you go. You have to ask industry whether the rules they're making will be practical for them to implement their projects, or it shouldn't so happen. Manisha, one second. Please hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. So we've seen the UT rules, and they're very fair and very good, but there are some clauses which need to be addressed.
Which the UT rules said that states are allowed to modify.
So what is happening is, because of this pressure on the states, they just cut, copy, paste the UT rules, and then we've notified the rules. That is the danger. Because if these rules become, there's certain 1 or 2 rules within the rules, if they are so impractical where you cannot actually execute, then you'll see a lot of stress. And 6 months later when we meet on this show, you'll say, Getamber, you are right. There's been a constraint of supply, and there is a danger of prices going up. So let's be practical. Let's make rules which are practical. There are good developers in the country, Manisha. Everybody is not to be painted with the same brush. So let those guys work.
Okay, Mr. Razack, you're sitting in Bangalore. This is an industry which is supposed to be a gold standard, or a city which is supposed to be a gold standard amongst developers. You've got some of the biggest branded developers there. I'm sure you've been talking to the ministry. What is this? When are we going to see Karnataka rules?
No, these rules were supposed to come in the first week or second week of May, and still they haven't yet come, and we have no clarity on how the rules will come, though the Karnataka government had already done a draft rules. They had published it, calling for objections. Through the CREDAI, we had given our objections for certain things. To the various companies, the objections were given. But now the overall finalization of the rules are not
So the
yet
discussions
done.
have happened.
Yes.
The discussions have happened. Anuj Puri, now answer this question. So supply is stalled, which in a way is good. There is a lot of excess supply which needs to get soaked up. But in the long run, is that a good thing to happen to the industry, especially that whole job creation thing that we're talking about, an accelerator?
I agree with him.
There is no excess supply today, Manisha.
All right. Okay, gentlemen.
There is a huge problem on housing today. Let's appreciate that. The government also needs to understand there is a huge problem on housing shortage today.
Okay. Yes.
Affordable housing, Mr. Murli, and I agree with you, but there is excess supply in houses above 50 lakh.
You know the pent-up demand today for housing today.
Below 50
That's
lakh.
the biggest, if at all there is one problem government has to face, it's housing. It's a shortage of housing today. Shortage of quality housing today, shortage of affordable housing today. What is that are we doing? Our Prime Minister has got a great vision for housing for all by 2022. If that needs to become real, There has to be a
all right.
Give me a number.
Partnership
how many houses
with
are there
the
in
people
excess
who
supply,
can
do you
deliver.
think?
That's a must.
Okay, if in Gurgaon today,
Across the country.
you are selling 2 or
Forget
3
that.
houses
You give me a number,
in
Manisha.
an entire market.
How many houses are in excess of supply?
All right,
How many?
You know,
in the
I
country?
do not want to commit to a number
There
which
are
I
2
don't
crore
have,
houses
but
required in the country today.
But they're not in
houses.
affordable. That's a very big debate.
Most
and
of them in
it's a
the
separate
7
debate.
metros and affordable. Most of them.
No, they are not.
Manisha,
They
we
are
can
not.
have this
They're not.
discussion.
Okay,
I
we will
totally
have. That's
disagree.
another. I'll call you for that discussion.
Manisha,
I'm going to go
let's
into
not
a
bring it.
break, and I will come back.
sometime back,
Mr. Murli, I'm sorry, but I have to take a break. I will come back. Yes, there's a housing shortage, and the problem is that there is a demand-supply mismatch. The supply is in the sectors where people are not buying, and their supply and demand is really not there. Okay, that's a little bit of a garble. We'll come back and talk about that in terms of what is happening to the supply during this RERA phase or registration phase. Stay with us.